Welcome everyone to Cut the Curve, episode 17. I'm FlipMan Zweig out here in Arizona. I've been in real estate investment 23 years now. I've flipped, I've wholesaled, and now I'm strictly Airbnb. I'm your host today. Cut the Curve is a podcast where I interview moguls, mentors, and entrepreneurs. And today I'm pleased to have another FlipMan in the house out of Alabama, FlipMan Ty from Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome to the show, FlipMan.
I appreciate you having me on, man. I got confused yesterday. I actually thought it was two different people or whatever, because I was getting a text message and I got an email and I didn't put it together until it was too late or whatever, because my time got away from me a little bit yesterday. So, but yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm glad you're here today. So, let's talk about where, everything started for you. I know you do a lot of different things on social media, TikTok, Instagram. How did your real estate, or let's back up a little bit. Are you from the South, or where'd you grow up at?
Yeah, I'm from Alabama. Where I'm located now is Birmingham, Alabama. I didn't grow up here, but I've been here all of my adult life since 1990 or whatever. So I grew up in a town in southwestern Alabama, less than 1,000 people. So when I came to Birmingham back in back in 90, that I was 20 at the time. Now, I'm in Alabama, right? So at that time, that was as far as I had ever been north. So whatever that means. So you can look up Millry, Alabama, Millry, then look up Birmingham, and that's as far as I had ever been north until I was by the age of 20. So anyway, so that gives you some type of context or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, yes. So I came to Birmingham. I went to junior college first in another smaller city before I came here. So I did 2 years there, not quite 2 years, but almost. And I came to Birmingham to go to the University of Alabama, Birmingham, which is short, UAB is short for it. And so I went to college here, and early on in college for me, I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship growing up. I only really cared about two things, playing basketball and girls. That's it,
Shout out to basketball and girls.
So
yes.
Once I realized that the NBA wasn't going to probably be an option for me, once that realization hits you, then you need to start to think about, what are you going to do in life or whatever. So, but anyway, so I ended up in Birmingham in 1990, just going to school, and doing stupid stuff as most of us do in our 20s or whatever. I probably when I was 21 or 22, I got the entrepreneur bug. The first thing that I was really exposed to was network marketing or multi-level marketing. Amway, right?
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
And, I think they're still around, but I think they may be called something else now. And so that just kept my fire burning, even though I never made any money with it or whatever, but it got me to start to view things differently. So I wasn't that great of a student in college or whatever, mainly because I don't know if I figured it out or it just didn't make sense to me. Why are we taking all these classes that won't ever turn into money, right? And so I finished I started out to try to get a finance degree, was doing terrible in that, but I took a lot of history electives. And so when I finally went to see my counselor after being on campus 3 years, And she said, if you continue down this finance path, it's going to probably take you another 4 years. She said, but if you pursue a history degree with a business minor, because you've taken all of those business classes, you can have you can major in history with a minor in business or whatever, small business, whatever. And so, so I say, sign me up, right? Because it was just more important for me to put a smile on my mom's face, because she wouldn't know the difference, what type of degree I had or whatever.
Sure.
She just knew she had probably had accomplished something by having a child or graduating from college, but I really didn't care. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I did finish in '95. It took 7 years. All right, just to fast forward, while I was still in college, one of the things I did was I came up with this brilliant idea to take some of my student loan money and start to buy used cars. So I got a dealership's license, right? Not even sure how I figured that out, but got a dealership's license and started to go to automobile auctions. And I soon learned that if it's not you or someone that's working with you are highly skilled mechanically to work on vehicles, you will get taken to a seminar. You know, you will lose money. So long story short, I got burned in that. And so 1995, this was like a couple of months before I was going to graduate from college. My brother, two of my cousins, and one of my brother's friends went to, it was called back then, I don't know if they call it that now, Black Daytona Beach Weekend, right? So kids show up, blah, blah, have fun on the weekend or whatever. So we went.
Yes.
And one of my brother's friends drove up from Orlando, and he was talking about he started this mobile car wash business, right? And he made 6 figures his first year doing it. So, that's all I needed to hear. So I couldn't wait till I got back to Birmingham to go buy, what I need. I need a truck or a van. I needed a 50 to 100 gallon tank to hold water, and I needed a pressure washer. And I was basically going to be in business. So I put all that together using some of that student loan money again. I put all that together in a matter of probably 2 or 3 weeks. Right, I had a baby blue passenger van that they took the seats out and strapped down a tank. Got my brand new pressure washer.
Damn!
I was in business. Bought me some signage, so when we were washing cars, we had a sign out there, "Come get your car washed." Blah blah. We was in a parking lot or whatever, and my cousin and one of the guys we went to high school with, we were out there getting it, and so but the problem was, so the heat didn't matter because I grew up in the South, so we're used to hot or whatever. But it does get cold to us, let me just say that. And so when October rolled around, and the first morning when you wake up and it's 40 degrees, and we were supposed to go out there and wash some cars, I said, "Oh, I can't do this." I knew that was the end of it. So anyway, having jobs, worked at, the post office. I had all kinds of jobs, man.
Ty, what you said, you came from a very small town of 1,000 people, so your worldview was probably very limited, man. Mm-hmm. So, like, when you went to that big campus, that was probably for me, coming from a small Midwest town to Arizona State, I was exposed to stuff I only saw on television. Like, it was like an eye-opener coming to a big city.
It was a lot of that. Now, I had obviously been to cities or whatever, but, urban enough. Let me just say that. Obviously, it's bigger, but urban enough or whatever. So, plus, I had got into a little trouble when I was at the junior college, so that was like a humbling, eye-opening experience. So I just wasn't gonna probably get into a lot of things because I don't drink, I don't smoke, I really never have. So that's gonna probably limit some of the trouble you can get in anyway. Now that was part of the reason why I got into trouble, because I thought if I didn't do those things, I was beyond getting in trouble. Well, I was wrong though. But anyway, so after the car wash deal fell through, tinkered around. Like I said, I had some decent paying jobs, for someone in their 20s back then, paying and you're getting paid in the 40s or whatever, 40,000 or so a year, 45.
Right.
Just me, I'm single and don't have any kids or anything. So, so fast forward to 2002. I was still trying to come up with business ideas, and still, I think the last thing that I was doing before I got introduced to real estate was, two things. I had taught myself how to build websites, just enough that somebody would probably pay for it, right?
Okay.
And then I also was in prepaid legal. I think it's called Legal Shield now or something like that. And so those are the two things I was tinkering with at that time. So fast forward to 2002, October 2002, one of my friends one of my friends and his now wife were going to school to become real estate agents. And so the guy that normally taught the class wasn't there. The guy that replaced him, the substitute that night, he didn't talk about being a real estate agent. He talked about real estate investing and creative ways of real estate investing, no money down. Okay, so my friend, knowing how I was, from college or what, mentioned some of the stuff to me, and I didn't act on it at that time. So fast forward to December of that year, December 27th to be exact. I was at my mom's house for Christmas, a couple of days after Christmas, and she was up. I was up early. She was up early preparing breakfast. And so I saw, which I had already seen them over the years, but, not really paid that much attention to them. But one of Carlton Sheets, no money down.
Oh, my goodness. That was my first guy. I have the DVD in the garage, bro.
So
Carlton, shout out.
So like I said, I had seen them over the years, and I caught it about halfway through. And people that don't know this, I don't think what they may do, I don't know, but they used to run infomercials. They'll run them on different channels just all day on Saturday, all day on early morning, not all day, but early morning, Saturday and Sunday mornings, right? And so I just went up the dial and found it from beginning to end, which the infomercial didn't tell you anything. It would just be a lot of, hey, Carter helped me make this much money. He helped me make this money. But they obviously are not telling you anything on how they make the money.
Right.
So at the end of it, I thought to myself, he can't be lying about all of this, right? Mm-hmm. And so so my mom didn't have internet back then. So I waited till I got back to Birmingham, and I went to this entrepreneur message board I used to frequent and asked a question, a message board, they probably know what that is, but and asked the question, does Carlton Sheets' program really work? And only one person replied, and I wish I could find that guy. He said, yes, it does, but Ron LeGrand's course is better.
Okay.
I don't know if it was Google, Yahoo, or whatever at the time. I searched for it, found his website, Ron's website, and he had a course there. I think it was called Quick Turn Real Estate was the course package, because it had wholesaling, lease options, subject to, flip, fix, and flip, a couple of more rentals. It was full of information. And so it was $1,500. So at that time, $1,500 was a lot of, it's still a lot of money, but it was definitely a lot of money back then. So,
yes.
On the course, on the website, it had a condensed version of it for $69.99. So I ordered that, and all it was a teaser, just different clips.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever watched Ron before. He'll make you feel like you can run through a brick wall. He's
100%.
He's very good at making you believe you can do this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I had made up in my mind, if I had to get a second job, I was going to save that $1,500 to get the full course. So I thought about eBay a couple of days later, and I bid it on the auction. I searched for his name on there, and that actual course was there for auction. So I participated in the auction, lost the auction, and back then, sellers could reach out to you through email through eBay. They were allowed to do it. I'm sure they got smart at some point, because what happened was the guy reached out to me that was running the auction, even though I lost, and asked me did I want a bootleg copy of it, right?
Ooh,
So
okay.
we got down to a price of $400 for a copy of that course package, of a package of courses. And so something didn't get paid, I don't know what, because that 400 still was a sacrifice, right? And so I ordered that, and I went from zero, knowing I'm talking about absolutely knowing zero about real estate, to learning about wholesaling, lease options, subject to, fix and flip,
Wow.
rentals, all of that. You know what I'm saying? It was very deep. It took me about 3 weeks to go through all of it. But early on, three things stuck to me: wholesaling, lease options, and bandit signs. The wholesaling, because the deals were quick and you're in and out, you can make this amount of money. Lease option, basically the same thing, but you could stay in the deal or whatever and create some cash flow. But the bandit signs, because of the type of person I am, an introvert, I'm not just going to be able to pound out cold calls without. I just can't do it. I'm gonna get.
I'm the same way.
My feelings hurt, blah blah blah. But at that time, I didn't have sense enough to know. Well, you just need to partner with someone that can do it. You know what I'm saying? The virtual assistant, that stuff didn't exist back then. At least I wasn't.
Sure.
Let me just say that. And so, anyway, so the bandit signs, when they call you, oh, we're halfway there, because they want to actually sell, right? Now we just got to negotiate a number that's going to work for both of us. So they actually want something when they call, so I can handle that or whatever. So anyway, after I completed the course, it was in late January, so early February, I ordered some bandit signs from this sign shop that had just opened inside of this Walmart that had just opened. And I overpaid for them. It was 50 signs. I think I paid $250 for them, but I didn't know any better because I never did anything like that. I picked them up on a Friday, put all 50 of them out on a Sunday. That Monday, my very first 2 calls were deals. Now, I'm not telling people that's going to be your experience, because it's more than likely not. One of them,
your very first 2. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The one of them was a lease option. A guy, his mom passed. The house still had a mortgage in it. He had his own house with a mortgage, and she left the house to him, but he couldn't afford both mortgages. So I explained to him the lease option product. I was going to lease from him. I was going to put a tenant buyer in there. How I was going to make my money: I'm going to get a down payment, that's mine, and I'll pay his mortgage, and whatever I make above that from the tenant, I keep. I explained that to him. Long story short, I found a tenant. She gave me $5,000. We were sitting in a Old Charlie's on Center Point Parkway, Roebuck Parkway, whatever it's called in Birmingham. People know what it used to be. I think it's a Mexican restaurant there now. But she gave me $5,100 bills. That was the most money cash that I had ever seen that wasn't related to a tax return.
That's a great story.
And
That's
so,
a great story.
I was like, wow. I literally, because I had failed at so many things before that, I literally could have stopped then. I was that pumped. So me thinking I'm creating win-wins, the guy that owned the house, he mentioned through our conversation that he did handiwork. He could do, repairs on the house, blah, blah. The house needed something, but it was livable, but it needed something. So when she saw it, she wanted this, and that. So I mentioned to her that he could do the work. Not thinking that wouldn't have been a good idea, but it really was a good, well, with what ended up happening was really a blessing anyway, because it would have went sour, period. But so on top of that, the guy that owned the house, he wanted to refinance his house. And one of the guys that I worked with, I still had a job at that time, he did mortgages on the side. So I put those 2 together. And so my friend that I work with, my coworker, he mentioned to the owner that I found someone. He was just not really trying to tell my business or whatever. He was just out of excitement. Yeah, we got your deal is going to work out. Ty has found somebody to rent the house, to lease the house, and she's already given them $5,000. So when he met the lady over there about the repairs, he came over there angry in a whirlwind. saying, get off
Oh.
my property. Tyrone doesn't own this property. I'm going to call the police, because he wanted some, if not all, of that $5,000 that I had gotten as a down payment. And so she called me crying, upset, because she had thought she had gotten scammed or whatever. So I asked her, where are you right now? Right? And so I had already spent $700 of the money or whatever. So I said, hey, I'll meet you right now and give you your money back. So I don't know how I came up with it all, but I gave her all her money back. I gave her the $5,000 back. So I called him, and he and I got into a really heated argument. And I didn't know it at the time, not that this really makes a difference, but my friend told me that the guy was a minister also. That never came up in our conversations. But so we just going back and forth. We were cursing each other and stuff. And so I made the statement. I said, I don't know what church you're ministering over, but I feel sorry for your members, or something to that degree. And the last thing he said to me, if I ever see you again, it ain't gonna be pretty. so anyway, so we hung up. And so the other call that I got was a wholesale opportunity.
Okay.
Common story. Mom passed. She left the house to her kids, 2 daughters. Like a lot of people, we're not going to sell mama house, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Rent it out and all this. So they went through that about 4 or 5 years, dealing with family members, not paying them, non-family members. They were tired landlords. So I went to their house to sign the agreement, to their house, not the house that we went. I met them at the house to view it, and then a day or so later, I met at their house to sign the agreement. And I showed up in my 1985 Toyota Celica convertible. This was 2003. So what is that? 13 years? What is that? 18 years?
18 years, yeah.
My 18-year-old Celica. Now, I love that car. But anyway, so when I showed up just to do the paperwork, they actually thought I had the money with me.
Okay.
And so no, it didn't work that way. It's a process, I did go through title and all that stuff. I did have that much understanding. So what I did was, once I had on the contract, this is when newspapers were still relevant. I put it in the newspaper as instructed through the course. And this real estate agent called me and said, I went through everything with him. I told him I had it on the contract, and I was trying to sell it for $25,000, the contract for $25,000 or whatever. He said, well, I got a buyer for it, but you're going to have to give me half of that $5,000, is what the agent told me. And I said, okay, that's fine. So I met these 2 guys, cool guys. They were in flip-flops and tank tops. They signed a contract with me, gave me a $500 earnest money, told me who their attorney was. And within 10 days, we closed or whatever. And the girl I was dating at the time, before I went to the closing, she was like, you think you need to wear a suit? I said, nah, I don't think so. Because when I met those guys, I said, they seemed to be pretty laid back, which I was correct. You don't have to go in a suit to a club.
Right.
But I didn't know at the time. So anyway, so after the closing was over, I got my check, and the sellers, they got their money, and they were just so excited. And they said, how much did you get, Taylor? Like that. So I showed them my check. They were happy for me or whatever. And so, hey, that was my actual first deal. I know it was a long story, but boom, that's how it happened.
I mean, you had all the emotions going on with those 2 stories. Like that first deal, like I thought you had that win, but then it 360'd on you. And then the second deal, that was a win-win, even though you had to split the money. You got into the game and you took action. So how soon after your course did you, because we have a course, you have a course, all of us have courses that have been in the game. How soon after you read the material did you actually put those bandit signs up?
Well, I probably, like I said, I felt that I needed, and this, when people buy my stuff, or even if they consume a lot of the free content, I know you will hear about wholesaling, and you may have a general understanding. They'll just get out there and just start calling sellers or just doing stuff, but they still don't know what to do. in the sense of, which is the main thing is most people don't know how to, I'm going to ask you a question, but they don't know how to determine if they have a great deal or not. That's the biggest issue, right? And so,
100%. Yep.
And so that was probably, that probably puts more people out of the business than anything because they say it doesn't work. No, you just got so excited and you talk to someone that wants to sell a piece of real estate, but the numbers don't work. There's plenty of real estate out here for sale, but the numbers don't work. You can possibly negotiate it into something, but you have to know what to negotiate it into. But to answer your question, so I went through the entire course, even though I really only pursued 3 things out of probably 15 that was in there, just or maybe more than that, just all the techniques and marketing and all that stuff. So,
hey guys, quick announcement. I just launched my new Passive Income Accelerator course. In this course, you'll learn how I built my Airbnb portfolio to 10 properties and growing while amassing $3,000 to $5,000 per property per month. If you want to learn more, go to piaaccelerator.com/go and sign up for the early bird special. And now back to the podcast.
So it took me 3 weeks to go through it, but I was consuming it. If I wasn't at work and I wasn't asleep, I was consuming it, right?
That's amazing. Yeah.
And it took that long for me to go through it all, or whatever. Which is not a long time considering it took me 7 years to go through college, and it probably have never made me a dime or whatever. But not that it should take you that long. It just took me that long. But anyway, so then I bought the Band of Signs, right? Now, I still was unsure about the process. I still had questions, but remember, I bought a bootleg course. So I didn't have the option of actually talking to someone that actually has ever done this before. And I did one of the things that Ron said in that course, one of the exact things he said, that you're going to listen to everything I tell you, and you're still not going to believe me this stuff is real. You're going to go ask one of your realtor buddies, your real estate agent buddies, about wholesaling or this or that, and they're going to tell you it's illegal, you need a license, blah, blah, blah.
100%.
I did exactly that, and he told me exactly what Ron said. But for me, it confirmed he knew what he was talking about. Now some people may take it and listen to their friend or family member or whatever and not do it, but it confirmed he knew what he was talking about. But I did exactly what he said. So
he's the expert. That's what I'm saying. Why try to create the wheel on our own or go to someone that doesn't really know? Like Ron was like the master. And I like what you said, Ty, about focus on 3 strategies, because in the beginning you don't know. So there's a lot of material. Just focus, stay lasered on those 3, and you had a great start. For some viewers that may not have that great start, how would you say to persevere through? I had Tino Luno, for example. Luna, he 2 years in wholesaling, took him 2 years to get his first wholesale deal, and he stuck through it. But I know there's a lot of people out there learning now how to wholesale. Got to know the numbers, 100%. But what do you tell people when they're not getting deals and they keep getting rejected? Because you had early success, but not all of us have had that.
Yeah, and I sort of hate to tell my story, and I always like to preface it that that's not normal, what happened to me. Matter of fact, I've never even heard anyone say they've done. Well, you know what? I did train 2 ladies locally, and but they just need to know how to do it. They had 2 houses across the street. One of the ladies had 2 houses across the street with the same owner, and that's the house that they wholesale. But after they wholesale that house, I never heard from them again. But anyway, so but to answer your question, it's all about expectations. Now, everybody's financial situation is different, and people will get into this for all types of different reasons. But if it's a situation where you're pressured because you have some bills due, man, that makes it even tougher, because you're trying to get it done in 30 days and all this stuff, which is possible, but that shouldn't be your expectations, right? Because this is definitely a marathon. and for some of us, 3 or 4 marathons is not a 40-yard
Yep.
dash. So one of the things, and everybody's different, as I said, to try to keep you focused and motivated to keep going is when someone reaches out to me and say, hey, I've been trying to do this for the last 6 months and I haven't gotten any deal. So my first question is, what are you doing to generate daily leads, right? How many people are you talking to on a daily basis that own real estate?
Yep.
Now, out of those, how many of those want to sell? And then the numbers just will bear out at that point. How many of those will sell cheap enough or give you terms good enough to actually put deals together? So that's always going to be my question. Now, if you're out here poking around on the internet, Facebook groups, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, and all them places, you could do it that way, and that's free if you know what you're doing. But most people don't have the patience, period. But most people don't have the patience and persistency to do it that way because, in my opinion, that's probably one of the harder ways to do it or whatever, right? Now, if you have a strong buyers list already, I'll put it like this. If you're going to try to target stuff online that's already for sale, some of it's by the actual owner, some of it's by real estate agents, some of it's by other wholesalers, you really need to have a strong buyers list ready to go because now you can possibly negotiate some stuff into some deals because you have buyers ready to go. But if that's your goal starting out, that's the method that you're using starting out and you don't have buyers, you'll probably end up quitting.
I love, Ty, and the viewers, 2 things you said. Realistic expectations. Like, you have to be realistic because you most likely are working another job. So I always break it down to time blocking. How much time do you have to focus on wholesale Airbnb? And then where is your time going? So it's a numbers thing, like you said. Like, funny story for you. Back in the day, I was in a church group, singles group, and I had befriended this one guy named Ken. He's like, Flip, I want to get married. I'm like, cool. How many girls have you dated this last month? How many girls have you asked out? It's just like wholesale. Like, how many sellers have you talked to? Same thing. He's like, Flip, I haven't asked any girls out. I'm like, Ken, let's start with asking a few girls out a week. It's just a numbers thing, right? Same thing with your analogy with wholesaling. Like, who are you calling? Where's your target? I think that's very real, and they got to make sure they know how many people each week and the numbers too. The numbers, like, what are the real numbers?
Oh, yeah.
So that's good stuff. With creative finance, are you teaching lease options? Are you teaching seller carrybacks? What are you guys doing over there now?
Well, now, of course, that was my first 2 opportunities personally, and I did a few lease options over the years. Really never was my thing because of the management that has to go with it or whatever. And so got burned a few times more after that or whatever doing lease options. So it never really was my thing just because of the person who I am and some of the flaws as me as a person and a business person or whatever. So mainly what I still just teach people is, what I've done the most of it by far is just wholesaling houses, some commercial, some multifamily or whatever, some couple self-storage over the years or whatever. So that's mainly what we focus on and most of the content is on. Now I'll have stuff on my channel. I've had stuff from crypto to, buying businesses on there also, but it's still mainly, real estate based, wholesaling based. That's still most of the content that's made available, whatever. So, I'm an entrepreneur first, and real estate is just the mechanism that has allowed me to make any decent amount of money or whatever.
Yeah. So it's the vehicle, the mechanism that makes the money. So wholesaling, obviously, back when we started, there was a few guys doing it, but nothing like even fix and flip. I did my first fix and flip early 2000, late 90s, I think. And same thing. Is it that illegal? Is it illegal to fix and flip? No. Now, like, it's such a giant $1 trillion industry with hard money, fix and flip, HGTV, all these things. So with wholesaling, how is that going? Because I don't do that anymore nationwide, because where do you see that going? So many people learn it, because I think that the thing with wholesaling, you don't need any money to start. Is that correct? As far as when you start your business?
It's still really good. You know, the way I explain it to people is it's a great entry point, whether you have money or you don't, whether you have great credit or you don't. Because the one thing, if you're going to be successful in real estate, in wholesaling, right, or really real estate in general, but with wholesaling, you're going to learn how to find great deals. But that's the game. If you can consistently find great real estate deals, you don't ever have to be broke. So that's the one thing that wholesaling is going to teach you, if you're going to be successful at it, to locate, identify, negotiate, tie up great real estate deals, whether that's houses, whether that's apartment buildings, whether that's self-storage, whether that's a shopping center, whatever. You know what I'm saying? If it can be a $20 million shopping center, but if I can get it for $10 million, I can wholesale it in a week.
It's the same concept. We just had Trent, who wholesales $30 million apartment buildings on here, and hotels and stuff. So like you said, it's the exact same. You're just moving the paper, right? You're the guy in the middle. So locking the property up, Ty, how do people, first of all, the numbers, like I heard you say, the numbers are so important. So how do people learn how to do comps, ARV, all that good stuff? What do you think the viewers should do to get to know the numbers where they're targeting? Like how do you want to let the viewers and your students, how do you guys go about that?
The business, and I need to speak to that guy, Trent. You say his name's Trent? I need to talk to him.
Yeah, Trent. I could hook you up. Definitely.
Okay. As I was saying before, the business boils down how do you identify what a great deal is, and you know, your question is how can they learn to do that? Now, Jamil over at Keegley / Astro Flipping, he and I did, was it last year, 2021? We did like 41 episodes of what I call and what we called Comps 101, right? Where we just spent about an hour and we would comp properties. Okay, so awesome. So now there's some free tools out there like Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com that you can use if you understand how to use those platforms, which they're not really set up to do that, but the information is there in most cases. And so you have to understand, whenever you're trying to put a great real estate deal together, no matter what your exit strategy is, in most cases you have to know what can this property be worth in top performance or an X condition or at peak level of cash flow or whatever, no matter what the deal is. You need to figure out the end game and then work backwards to see where you need to be
100%.
to make it a great deal, depending on what your exit strategy is or what your intent is with the property. So with houses, we call it's a phrase that we use, after repair value, or ARV. All right, mm-hmm. That's basically saying it's a do-it-yourself appraisal on how much was this house appraised for in excellent condition. Okay, once you get that number, now there's a simple formula that you can plug that number in along with repairs from an estimate. Now, people, there are a lot of ways to go about it. And some people frown on the 70% rule. Some people go by it. I go by it because I don't know another way of explaining it to a newbie. See, I always take it from the standpoint of when I started and didn't know anything about real estate. yeah, if you're used to doing business and all this stuff, yeah, that it may make a lot more sense for you to come up with your own formula to determine. But for somebody brand new that's never done really, they have to have something to go by.
Love
They
it.
got to have
Yeah,
something to go by.
that's key.
Right? And so then they'll
Yep.
figure out their formula once they have, get in the game. So what does that 70% represent? It really represents a 30% discount off the ARV, off the after repair value. And so so what does that 30% cover? It covers the investor / cash buyer's potential profit and holding costs. The profit, generally speaking, most investors are happy between 20 to 25% on their money, right? Especially that short turnaround. And then the other 5 to 10%, depending on how you range it, is the holding cost. Things like paying the utilities, getting the grass cut, stuff like the closing, until they sell the property. Okay, so just use some easy numbers here. Don't get caught up in the numbers because each market is different. We're going to use a $100,000 ARV,
100%.
right? Now, I know that don't exist in some markets, but don't get caught up in them just so I can do the math in my head quickly. All right, so you got a $100,000 ARV. So this is what you're saying this house will be worth fixed up, right, after renovations. Multiply that times 70%. That gives you $70,000. Now, we're going to say that this house, the repairs on this house is $30,000. All right, so how do you come up with that number? Now, I saw this on another guy's channel, and it made sense to me. And I could do it because I've been doing it, but I couldn't explain it to people as numbers.
Gotcha.
So he made it simple. So, and this is not just set in stone. It's more of a generalization to get you to a number where you want to be. Because as you know, you send 3 contractors out to a house, they're going to come back with 3 different bids, period. You tell them exactly,
Yep.
you give them a document, say, hey, this is what I want done in this house, and they're going to come back with 3 different numbers. And in most cases, they're not going to be close.
Never.
You know what I'm saying?
It never fails. Yeah.
So anyway,
Yep.
so the repair, the way he explained it is that if you base it on the square footage, so we're going to use 1,000 square feet, the actual living area of the house. So you take the square footage. If the house is livable, multiply it times $25. If it's not livable, $40. Now, again, that can be adjusted depending on the type of house, because the countertop that'll go in a $1 million house is going to be different than the countertop that goes in a $100,000 house. So
Right. These are just some basic guidelines. Yes.
Now. So we'll just say in this example, this house, I said 30,000 repairs. We're going to say 25. So the house is 1,000 square feet, so we multiply that times $25. Okay, we deem it's livable. Now, that's subjective. Some people say, I wouldn't live there. Well, just be reasonable about that, right? All right, so
Yes.
sometimes I didn't say it was going to be retail shape. I said livable. Clean up, somebody could live there or whatever. Now, you'll know when you see a house, I don't care how much cleaning you do, you can't, no one will live here. Oh, well, again,
It's not
I don't want
livable.
to get too bogged down on that. So we at 70%. Remember, we took the 100,000, multiplied it times 70%, and we subtract 25,000. I think that leaves 45,000, right? So that's the number you're
Yes,
at now.
sir.
So now you need to build in how much money you think you want to make. So for years, I didn't know how to explain that either. On how much do you say, hey, how much do I want to make on this deal? Or at least the range. So I woke up in the middle of the night, and I said, I believe I'm doing about 10% of the ARV, I think. And so I just started playing with the numbers, just giving different scenarios. And so it's really between 7 to 10%. So on 100,000, I would probably make 7,000 for 7%, 8,000 for 8%, 9,000 for 9%, 10,000 for 10%. So just for the sake of us doing this, so we're going to say at 10% of that 100,000, that gives us a $10,000 assignment fee, which is negotiable, but just for the sake of you negotiating with the seller. So now we go from 45,000 down to 35,000. So that's the number. So you need to be at a number 35,000 or less in most cases to make that deal work. Assuming those numbers are correct. You say, well, who would sell their house that could be worth $100,000 for $35,000? Someone that's going through a divorce, death, job relocation or income loss, unforeseen medical bills, kids going off to college, tired landlord, which is going to be the largest group of individuals that's going to sell their own real estate, number one, a single family, and are going to have enough properties that you could target where they are possible to be a tired landlord and will sell the property at a discount. Life creates motivated sellers. So that's why someone will sell that could be
Love
worth
that.
$100,000 fixed up for $35,000.
That was a great simplified example, Ty. That if you guys have any questions, definitely hit Ty up on that. But I got that. I like how you broke it down and you gave a generalization, but it really was understandable for the newbie, I hope, to understand. Don't make it overcomplicated, guys. Just get in the game, reach out to people who are doing it, and get started right away. So a couple more questions before we end this episode, Ty. The market has shifted, as we all know. We're all hearing. Are you buying at a deeper discount now for your wholesale properties?
Yeah, whenever we're comping properties, we're trying to look at stuff that have sold in July. Sometimes that's not always an option because July is sort of when you can see the difference, from at least the research I've been able to do. And so we're sort of trying to base comps on properties that have sold in July and then work the numbers that way. And I'm assuming it's going to get even tighter over the next few months or whatever. So, but to answer your question, yeah, it's definitely a dip. Now, some of the dips are more relevant in some markets versus others because in a lot of markets, it didn't really get that extra, paying $100,000 over asking and all that stuff really didn't happen in some markets versus others. So it's just market specific.
Awesome. How about people that are wanting to get into real estate? I hear this a lot. It takes money to make money in real estate. Like that's a common theme amongst people that have fear-based and they don't have the knowledge or the education on what we do, how we started. Like, what do you tell those folks that, they put that limitation in, I need to make 50,000 saved up before I could get into real estate?
I'm amazed at the number of people that, come through all the, different stuff that we have out there. And, I read a lot of the stuff and they've never heard of this before. That's still as many people out here that are offering content on wholesaling. You'll be amazed at the number of people that still don't know. Matter of fact, some of the content that we'll go into the mall that's close to the office, and we'll just for $100, tell me what wholesaling is. What is wholesaling real estate? And we have yet to give out that $100. We probably done it about 6 or 7 times or whatever.
That's an interesting experiment. So where can people go to learn wholesale that are watching Cut the Curve right now? Where's a great place for them to start learning it?
To not to toot my own horn, but my YouTube channel, I give it all the way there. I've been producing content for 14 years since, last Friday was 14 years, August 5th. Yeah.
Wow. 14 years. You're like my man. You're like Cody Sperber. He's out in Arizona. You met Cody. He's a old buddy of mine, but he got onto Facebook ClickFunnels real early in the game and he crushes it. So how did you get in there 14 years ago? Was that just curiosity?
Internet marketing is still a hobby of mine. I'm still amazed at someone being able to buy something from you from Pakistan if you wanted to, or you could do a transfer across the internet.
Yeah.
And so when I was, it was brought to my attention back in 1998. Bought my first desktop in 1999. It just became a hobby of mine. Not that I'm that great at internet marketing, but I've been able to make some money, from the internet. So when I decided to start to try to pursue it a little bit more deeper. The only thing I had of value was my knowledge of real estate. And so at that time, YouTube had basically been around about 2 years. When I discovered that, I thought it was amazing. And so I just started, not to put anyone down the way they may do it or whatever. I decided early on, if I'm going to tell you about a topic, I'm going to tell you what I know, whatever that means. And so if someone wants to, and so over time, we're over 800 videos now. Over time, if they want to spend some money with me through some product that I'm, some course or tool that I'm affiliated with, then so be it. But you never have to actually spend any money to get everything you know through my YouTube channel. So it's literally all there.
It's all free on there. They could just click. Where do they go to find this?
Just go to YouTube and do a search for FlipMan. You'll see my cartoon character, red guy. I mean, a guy in a red shirt holding some cash. You won't miss it. Oh, well, it should come right up. Everywhere.
I got to tell this story how we met now. So FlipMan is not a common name, obviously. My name is Philip. Your name is Ty. We were at the Go-Givers at Brandon Simmons' event in Stephen Trang in Tempe. They're like, FlipMan's coming. I'm like, that's when Bryant took me down to the Go-Givers. So that I met you in Tempe a few years back. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. That was in,
that's crazy.
2020, I believe, yeah.
Yes, sir. So how did you come up 14 years ago? Was it a YouTube channel called FlipMan, or
no, it didn't
how did you?
I only think I started. I only think I started using the FlipMan phrase maybe 2000. What we're in 22, maybe 2010 or 11, something like.
Love it. And you can see we're different people, but we're the same. We're both introverts. We both love real estate, and it was very nice to finally get to meet you at that event. And now we have a friendship, and you're on the show, and always learning from you and what you're doing. Love your TikTok, bro. How do you come up with those ideas?
Well, we do a lot of copying, or my social media. Team member, she says we get inspired. You just have. Well, I don't know how good we are at it, but we just scroll through and see what other people are doing, and we'll just put our twist on it or whatever. It's some brilliant people out here, man. On that content. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the expert in the content, but again, you got to have your social media team around you, like doing the creative stuff. So it seems like you have some good people helping you out with your social media. So that's awesome. In parting, Ty, is there anything you would tell the viewers right now on Cut the Curve? One thing they should do that you learned that you didn't do in the past to really cut their learning curve in the space of wholesale entrepreneurship, just in general? What would be one thing you would inspire them to do?
A couple of things is that make sure that if you want to give yourself the best chance to succeed at anything, guess what you need to do? Or the best chance. Educate yourself so you'll simply know what to do. Yeah, you want to give yourself the best chance. Now, if you get out here and cherry pick and half-ass it, that's probably where it's going to end up, right? But if you want to give yourself the best chance to succeed, it starts by simply knowing what to do. And that starts with education, especially with real estate. If you don't have the patience, I tell people all the time, if you don't have the patience to educate yourself, go ahead and do something else. Go ahead and do something else. That's cool. This may not be for you or whatever. But if you don't have that patience, go ahead and do something else. Because everything ain't for everybody. I'm proof of that myself. So, but that's the main thing. You got to educate yourself and just know this is not a 40-yard dash. You need to temper your expectations. And when you do start to make the money, make sure you are a good steward of your money to manage it or whatever. Because that's the only way you can really can maximize and grow your business or whatever. So.
It's a very common theme. I hear this from all the guests on Cut the Curve. It's the long game. It's it's not the sprint, because the sprint, guess what? We're going to burn out. We're going to give up. We're going to quit. But if you think of it 10 years down the road, 5 years, 20, like the long game is so important to give yourself that mental break where you're getting winded. So I love that. That's great advice, brother. So I completely had a pleasure here today. We're filming on Saturday, so thanks for showing up and showing out. People, definitely check out all Ty FlipMan's social sites, Instagram. We'll put that on there. We'll YouTube, TikTok, anything else out there, Ty, you're on?
Yeah, we're on LinkedIn.
He's all over.
Twitch, Pinterest, Twitter. We're on all the ones that most people frequent. So we're out there.
And if you want to learn wholesale, definitely go to his page on YouTube, get the free value, and then if you really want to learn, get the courses that he has out there. So thanks again, brother. This has been a great episode of Cut the Curve, you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next Cut the Curve. And
appreciate it, man.
peace.
I'm glad you had me.